Hey, and welcome to another video of your favorite chicken devlog. Previously, we modeled the chicken, animated it, and added mechanics and controls.
I'm like 90% done with this game.
But, as brilliant as it is, we have a problem. I think the movement is decent enough, but one thing that ruins the experience is the collision. It's not precise, and there's just no impact to it. It sucks. Other games get away with it, either because it doesn't matter in their case, or they have a completely different set of rules around it. But for my game, I think the collision is essential. So what I'm thinking is, if the chicken hits a wall, there should be some sort of reaction to impact. Like the body bends, the wings go all over the place, or if it falls from a big height, it just splashes on the floor. It's supposed to be more precise, and in this case, I'd want the neck to bend and the chicken to pass through. There are probably multiple ways to approach this, but because the chicken has a lot of bones and can hit walls from any angle, I thought the easiest solution would be physical animations. Easiest might not be the best word for it. This took the longest, and at some point it was so broken I wasn't actually sure I could fix it. In fact, after the last video, things weren't going well between us. Me and the chicken, we needed a break. I ran as far away from her as I could, and eventually ended up next to Mount Yote, where my favorite chill game takes place. I learned a new sport, tried to fill my emptiness with other meats. But no matter how much I tried to forget, everything reminded me of her. And that's when I knew it was time to come back and fix whatever was broken between us. Okay, so a bit on physical animations. You've probably seen this in other games where a character reacts when it gets hit, or pushed, or shoved. What happens is the engine is still playing the normal animation, like running, jumping, whatever, but adds another physics layer on top of that so parts of the body can react to forces. In Unreal, this is done with something called a physics asset. Unreal can create one automatically for you. It's just a checkbox. But in my case, it didn't really work. This bubble-looking things you see here are collision bodies. They're supposed to wrap around the character, usually around the main bones. But I think because the chicken is so tiny, most of them were ignored. So I had to do some manual work, move them in place, resize them. It was quite a bit of work, but check this out. This is definitely not the end result, but it already looks like a splashed chicken. This is so cool. So besides configuring the physics, you can also configure it's called a blend. Kind of like how much do you want the physics animation to take over the regular one. So 0, it means it just plays the regular animation. 1 means it's fully ragdolled, but you can also pick some value in between. That's the basic idea, but I don't know what to do with it. It doesn't magically solve the collision problem. I think it's not even supposed to twitch like this if set up correctly. Found this recorded live training from Unreal Engine. I'm gonna go through it and see if it helps.
Down, mommy, teach me how to dodge that, how to close that, how to pause that. Down, mommy, teach me how to hold that, how to tease that, how to love that. Down, hot MTV and NBC, Monopoly, supremacy. So let me I didn't come check my booty. I just want some democracy. Hot MTV and NBC, Monopoly, supremacy. I didn't come check my booty. I just want some democracy.
Okay, I think I got it, but before we move to the fun stuff, I want to see if we can fix something else with this. If you just run into a wall, the beak clips through it. So I'm wondering if we can use the same physics animation to make it bounce back. And same with the idle animation, the head clips into the wall there too. This happens because the animation pushes the head outside the capsule. What I did was add a sphere collision, slightly bigger than the head, and attached it to the head bone. So now when the sphere touches the wall, I activate the physics, and when it stops touching the wall, I disable it and go back to the regular animation. And hopefully this will do the trick. What? Why does it stretch like that? Switching between the affected bones and the physics blend values only made it worse. And hard to believe, but even more confusing. The thing with issues like this, it feels impossible to find a solution because you don't even know what the problem is. I spent a lot of time looking for a fix online and couldn't find anything. What I was doing was setting the physics blend from the neck down to 0. Because in this case I wanted the body to keep playing the regular animation. And I set the blend for the neck and up to a different value because I wanted the neck to bend, right? So I kept changing the neck values, but nothing worked. But apparently the moment I set a different value for the body blend, then the stretching disappeared. I have no idea why, but it works now. There's still a tiny bit of overlap, but honestly, I don't mind that. And it works for the idle animation too. And while I was just hitting the walls left and right, intoxicated by my genius collision feature, danger was lurking around the corner. Whoa! Whoa! I didn't change anything. I just restarted the game. It worked before. What followed was hours of investigation and dozens of restarts. The bug would only happen maybe like 2 or 3% of the time when I started the game, but once it happened, the collision stayed broken until the next restart. I never found a real fix. Instead, I ended up doing something much easier. I just edited the walking and idle animations so the head stays inside the capsule. It's really stupid. I should have probably done that from the start. It's much cleaner, works every time. The old walk probably looked a little better, but this version is stable. While I was at it, I also fixed this other related issue where the tail would clip into the wall. I initially tried to solve it using physical animations, but after the time I wasted on the problems I showed you before, I decided to go with the much simpler fix. Whenever the chicken is facing a wall up close and starts turning around, I apply a small offset and push it away from the wall, just enough so the tail doesn't clip. It's pretty neat and works perfectly. Sometimes. Okay, no, it works fine, but the offset is triggered when the chicken turns around. So if you somehow just fall into that position, the clipping can still happen. So anyway, for the jump impact, physical animations worked much better, much closer to what I had in mind initially. But it did get more complicated, and I don't want to bore you with every small detail, but I'll give you a quick version. When the game starts, I configure the strength for each part of the body, and I make it so that the physical animation blend is 0. So not ragdolled, just playing the regular animation. Then I made sure the capsule is big enough to cover the body, but still leaves the neck and head out, mostly for that situation I showed you at the start of the video. When the chicken is in the air, I shrink the capsule and just leave enough so it can land precisely where the feet are, and then I reset the capsule size on landing. I also added 2 extra collision detectors around the head and body. Whenever those overlap with an object, I turn on the physics. Then, based on how strong the impact is, I adjust the main capsule. Small impacts keep more shape, strong impacts allow more compression and deformation. For big falls, I also turn on the physics to get that splash effect. I'm constantly tracking its speed in the air, and based on that, I decide how much it ragdolls and how long it takes to recover. The cool thing is, because this is physics-based, every hit can feel a bit different. Different speed, different angle, different object shapes. So hopefully it will feel more rewarding and less repetitive. Now, of course, not everything worked. as expected from the start. There was a lot of testing, fixing, changing random settings that I still don't know what they do, just in order to get something that works. But even so, there's still things that aren't perfect. Like for instance, you see here, see how the feet just stretch? I didn't find a fix for this one, but then I thought it kind of looks like a cartoon where the feet fall first and then the body follows later. Maybe I'll just leave it as is. I don't know. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it for this one. I'm currently working on the level design, so maybe I'll do a video on that next. Let me know what you think, and feel free to drop any suggestions in the comments.
Turn my head with a side flip. I know you like it. Baby, go and earn it. But stay frustrated. Let me draw your map, so you know where you're at. Like to attract, and you react.
Oye, no hay problema. Ahora piensa en las cosas buenas. Tienes salud, dinero y libertad. La angustia que sientes no sirve para nada.